Welcome everybody to the Digital Nomad Sessions. My name is Mitch Assay, your host, and today I have a really special guest. We're going to be talking about a topic that I am very passionate about right now and wish I did from the very start. I've got with me today Scott Simson. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Mitch. I'm excited about this.
Absolutely.
Love talking about YouTube.
I bet. And let me explain to everybody why you love talking about YouTube. So as a full-time content creator with almost 400,000 followers and CEO of Video Marketing World, Scott is recognized as an expert at video marketing and creating online communities with video. He's responsible for helping to generate hundreds of millions of views and millions of dollars in revenue, both personally and for his clients. And today's topic, we're going to be diving into gaining leads with an organic YouTube strategy. So we're just chatting just before, Scott, where I mentioned, if I focused on YouTube at the start, I think, long term, it would serve me so much more. And you're saying that you're still getting 10,000 views per day for content you created 5 years ago, which is incredible. So, maybe let's talk at a high level, like why. Well, there's two parts of this. Why YouTube, first of all, and then something that I think YouTube creators get stuck on or don't even think about is, turning those followers into leads and then ultimately turning them into customers and sales and revenue for your business, because you want to be paid for the amount of content that you're creating, right? In a way that, and you want to continue to grow your business so you can make more impact. So I guess, talk to us about that. How has that positively shifted and affected your business and your life since focusing on getting leads from YouTube instead of just creating?
Yeah, so let me back up a little bit. So when I first started on YouTube, we were doing motivational speaking. So I wrote a couple books. My wife and I wrote a couple books in 2010, 2011, and I was traveling and speaking to groups and organizations all over the country. And one of the things I realized really quickly is, like, when you're traveling and speaking, it can get old really, really fast. You get tired really, really fast. You don't see your family for days. And sometimes you don't even see your family. You see your family less than the days that you're traveling, right? So I realized that if I wanted to be successful in this industry, or in this motivational speaking industry, then it would be much more efficient and effective for me to grow a community online. And so I was looking around at some of the YouTubers of the day, 2014, 2015, who were really successful, and trying to emulate what they were doing to build my own community. And slowly but surely, my videos would get, a dozen views on in the beginning, and then they would get, 50 or 100. Then it broke the triple digits. That was always like a thing. It's like, okay, is this video going to get over 100 views? Awesome. There's 100 people watching. And then I hit a video that was like 10,000 views. And I'm like, I've never spoken in front of an audience that was bigger than like a couple hundred people. So 10,000 views, 10,000 people, if I'm sitting in a room, then, and there are 10,000 people, that's like a crowd, that's an arena, And so then I was like, okay, this is powerful. This is good stuff. And I didn't realize at the time, I chose YouTube because that was where everybody was posting video content, but I didn't realize it at the time that YouTube is the second, it's the second biggest search engine. And the way that search and discovery works on YouTube is, it's not necessarily what's the latest and greatest. It's what are most people watching, engaging with. And then with YouTube specifically, it's where are they going after they watch the piece of content. So if you create a really stellar piece of content that people watch and then engage with, and then they go and watch more of the same content, then that piece of content, that video, will live on forever. So we have videos that we created in 2014, 2015 that are still getting 10 to 20,000 views a day on some of them. And they'll keep getting that amount of followers or that amount of viewership because the videos they keep people on the platform. And that's what YouTube wants. They want more people on the platform. But the beauty is in search and discovery. No other social platform has the ability to search content and find a piece of content that's 5 years old that you can watch today. Like you think about it, like Facebook, you got to scroll for 10 hours to try and find something from 2009, or you got to LinkedIn, it's like impossible. You got to click like 50 buttons to try and get to people's posts on LinkedIn. So YouTube is the number one place simply because of search and discovery.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And that's so true. And maybe we can dive into some of what that actually means for people at home who are getting started. right now. So like if we're thinking about maybe, you know, we're talking to people who either just getting started on YouTube or have an existing channel with maybe, you know, less than 10,000 followers, what do we need to start thinking about, and what is a step-by-step guide that you have for us to start generating these leads with an organic YouTube strategy?
Yeah, so if you're building out your YouTube following for your business, then you need to focus on content that is centered around your specific niche. And when I'm consulting people, when I'm advising people now, I go very specific. I say we need to create a complete series on this one topic. So if it's content marketing, then every video that we do is going to be some angle that has to do with content marketing. And then in every video, we have a call to action that's either come to my website, check out another video, and just get people used to following the directions that you're giving them on those videos. But the number one thing that I say in channel growth, like if somebody is at 1,000 subscribers or 100 subscribers or 10,000 subscribers, you need to focus on a few things. You need to focus, number one, that your title is optimized, that you've done your keyword research. I always start with keyword research and I build content around what people are looking for. And then you focus on the content, right? It's like the flow of your content, the storytelling, the pacing of it, to make sure that you keep people engaged in the video, keep the watch session as long as possible, the audience retention. And then you focus on the thumbnail and making sure that the thumbnail is clickable. And this is where a lot of people fall flat. They create this amazing piece of content and then they don't put any effort into the thumbnail. And it's kind of like if Hollywood spends $100 million on a movie and then they don't do any marketing, then nobody's going to come and see the movie. That's exactly what you're doing on video if you don't focus on the thumbnail, because your thumbnail is your marketing. It's your advertising for that video. That's what gets the emotional draw, the emotional appeal. So if you combine those three things, then you'll be relatively set up for success and growth on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, absolutely. Really well said. So I guess maybe diving into the keyword research a little bit more, do you have tips on where we can start to actually do that?
Yeah, so the first place to start, where I always start, is by looking at what other people are doing in my industry. And then I say, how can I do what they're doing a little bit differently? That's if you want to go the free route, you know, that's the most cost-effective way of doing it, is to look at what other people are doing and then kind of repurpose what they're saying and put it into your own words, or you know, do the opposite of what they're saying and then kind of clickbait things a little bit. That's also an effective tactic. Where one tactic that I use now is a paid route, and that's by using tools like vidIQ or there's some other keyword research tools, and then specifically looking for phrases that people are searching for, and then judging based off of the volume and competition if that's a good keyword phrase that I want to use to build a series around. Because like I said, like if you're going to go the niche route, you want to start with a series of videos, so that way you're putting out a lot of content on the same subject matter and kind of going a mile deep instead of an inch deep. You go a mile deep in one subject, and then as soon as you feel like you've got some really good traction with that subject, then you move to another subject that kind of falls under the same umbrella. So for example, if you're doing a channel on marketing, then an example of going a mile deep is to focus, like I said, all like 20 videos on content marketing, and then focus 20 videos on affiliate marketing, and then focus 20, you know, so kind of do that until you can build up your audience to the point where it's like whatever you put out, they're going to watch.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I guess leading on from that, how important is it to create playlists when you are sort of doing that type of thing?
Yeah, so playlists are discoverable as well. So creating playlists is super important. And there's a couple of reasons why playlists are important. Number one, like I said, they're discoverable, so you can search a keyword phrase and find an entire playlist. And so if you're targeting content marketing and it's under the or if you're searching for content marketing and they pull up a playlist that's like 10 videos of content marketing, then the people are going to be trapped on your playlist. The people who are watching are going to be trapped on your playlist for 10 videos, or at least until they get bored. The other reason playlists are super important is because I lost my train of thought. Searchable. Well, actually, I said it. It's because you get you have a higher audience retention when you have people watching in a playlist, because they'll watch more, or a higher, we call session time, right? So where they're on YouTube for a longer period of time because they're stuck in your playlist.
Yeah, and is it? I mean, I guess nobody sort of knows the algorithm, but do you think that it's true that the more the more that they continue to watch your videos, the more YouTube will then display more of your videos in future to the people who are logged in as well, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about audience retention and session time and click through rate. You know, all of these like terms that just really mean that people are engaging your content and they like your content. The more people like your content, the more YouTube is going to show your content.
Yeah, amazing. Perfect. I love that. And then just a little bit, maybe before we go into the next stage, but diving a little bit deeper into thumbnails as well. Like for me, you know, the free tools like Canva make it so easy to create thumbnails these days. So it's crazy that people don't put in that effort. Do you have any sort of guidelines or best practices that when it comes to creating an effective thumbnail that's going to hopefully get a higher click-through rate?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of testing that's been done. One of my business partners is he used to work for vidIQ, and he did all of their thumbnail research, and so I've got a lot of good insider tips that I've gained from him that I've used in my own content that have worked really, really well. And if you're a personality, if you're a personality driven channel, right? It's you're a talking head. The content is coming from your mouth, you know, training. Then one of the best ways, or one of the tips that we teach to our clients, is to make sure that you've got your face on the thumbnails, and you're showing eyes, the whites of the eyes, because people connect with the eyes. You're showing emotion, whether that's a smile or a frown or sadness, and what was the third? And just, yeah, and then just making sure that everything is blown up, so that way the people can see what it is they're looking at. The other thing is that you want to tell a story with your thumbnail. If you can tell a story or get the viewer to ask a question about what the video is about, then that thumbnail will be successful, because people naturally have to answer the questions that they're asking themselves. So one of my favorite thumbnails is from a creator named Mark Rober. He does the Science and Technology channel, and he's got his thumbnail of himself swimming underwater. He's holding his thumb up, and it's bloody, and it's kind of like there's like blood around his thumb, and there's a shark behind him, and that's all that's on the thumbnail. So the question that people are asking is the shark going to be attracted to that blood and come and eat Mark Rober? And that's the question that people have to ask. And I mean, that video's got 10, 20 million views on it. So it's insane. So if you can get people to ask a question in your thumbnails, then you are going to win the view.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's an extreme photo to get. I mean, whether was it all taken as that, or was there some Photoshop involved?
Oh, I'm sure it's Photoshopped. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that'd be an extreme photo to take just for a thumbnail. But if it's going to get 20 million views, maybe it is worth it. That's really awesome. Do you have any sort of, maybe, I don't want to put this set in stone, but like some average click-through rates of a good thumbnail?
Yeah, so it depends on the category that you're in. I've seen successful videos anywhere from 5%. Some of our top videos have got, my top video has got almost 22% click-through rate, which is insane. But yeah, I've seen them from, usually, like for me personally, my successful thumbnails will start around the 7 to 8% click-through rate. Anything below like 6 and 5, I generally know that they're just not going to like take off. They're not going to do very well long term. But anything that's like 6 to 8 or 7 to 8 and 10 are going to do well. And anything that are 12 on up are going to do stellar. So
yeah, wow, awesome. I've got plenty of work to do then. Awesome. So this is really great content so far in terms of creating our channel and getting the views and growing the channel. What's the next thing that we need to start thinking about when we're talking about generating leads?
Yeah, so when I'm talking to businesses, and I work with a lot of businesses, one of the things that we always do is number one is to create value in your content. Like you have to be giving away good quality information. You can't just get onto start recording your content and just be like, hey, buy. It's you get on, you introduce yourself, you give as much value as possible, and then you drop a call to action that is very simple, but it still is like offering more value. Hey, if you're interested in this, and come over to my website, I've got XYZ for you that's really good. And then you get the content, then you get that lead into your system where you can continue to cultivate a relationship with them. The thing that most business people don't understand about social media in general is that it's a courtship. It's about community development. It's not about just like trying to get as many people into your system as possible, but it's about actually building relationships. People come to social media to have a human experience with other humans. They don't want to come to social media to have a human experience with a salesperson. If they want that, they go to a car lot or go to an insurance agency and just be sold stuff. So the best thing that people can do for themselves when they're building out their community or building a YouTube channel or any social media platform for that matter is to work on developing a community of people that are there to receive value and to give value. And once you've achieved that, then you'll start to see some of that business come in. But the problem is that it's a slow, it's a slow thing. It's a slow process. We call it a marathon. We call it marathon content if you're creating stuff on YouTube, because it just doesn't happen immediately. It takes a little bit of time. But, with that said, we've actually, if you're, I don't know if I want to go down this route, but if you're in certain categories that are very niche, and you're serving a very specific purpose, you could actually start making, you can start getting leads and be successful relatively quickly. But for most people who are like in a saturated category, it's just going to take some time, because they got to realize that you're authentic and that you're that you're really creating content for them with the purpose of helping people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a good point. And I think that's probably a huge reason why people give up so early, is because the dollars don't start coming in so like immediately, right? And we're so addicted to that instant gratification that sticking it out for the long term is hard for a lot of people. And as I've been doing, so I've been focusing a little bit more on YouTube basically this year. I dabbled a little bit last year, but the research that I've been doing lately, and one of the biggest differences between those who are successful and those who are not, is consistency in time. Do you have anything to say around that?
Yeah. So consistency is a huge factor. You're talking about just being consistent with your content strategy? Yeah. Consistency is a huge factor. So there are three main reasons why people don't do video. And it's time, money, and confusion. And so a lot of times what'll happen is people will be really amped up about creating their content strategy and making sure that they put out videos every day or every few days. And then what happens is that life throws them a curveball and they have to stop for a week. And then it becomes really easy to not pick it back up after that. So I'll see a lot of people who will start and then stop. The attrition rate of YouTube creators is really, really high, because they get burnt out really quickly, or they don't get to full-time status, and they have to make decisions they have to make a decision to cut something out of their life in order to achieve something else. And YouTube is one of the first things to go if you're not making enough money at it. And so staying consistent is very, very important. But consistency for people looks a little bit different. Like when I'm coaching people and I'm training people in our system, it's creating 3 pieces of content a week. Now I teach people to do that using a simplified system, using a program called OBS. A lot of live streamers use that program, but basically what we do is we create one long live stream that has all the elements of an edited video in it. So that way they don't actually have to go back and edit and spend all that time editing. They can just create it and then cut off the ends and then put it up on YouTube, and it'll be successful, as long as you got a good thumbnail. But 3 a week is really intense for a lot of people, because it does require a lot of time. like I said, consistency looks a little bit different. You don't need to produce content every week or every, 3 times a week. I'd say if you want to be successful with YouTube, you need to produce at least one video a week, unless it's a very niche market where you can get away with producing one a month or something like that. But part of community building is making sure that your people know when you're going to be uploading, so that way they can be waiting for your content. They can be waiting to engage with it. If you are very sporadic and people don't know when you're going to be uploading content, it's going to be really hard to build a community around your content or around you, because it's just random. There's no consistency with it. So yeah, consistency plays a huge role.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and yeah, we did take a bit of a step back there to sort of the first part, but continuing on. So we're building our channel. We've done some SEO research. We've got the thumbnails up. We're starting to make a call to action in our videos and sending people somewhere to build that community, realizing that it's a bit of a long burn game in this scenario. What would be the next thing that we need to be thinking about?
So yeah, so then after, I think that after you have all of those basic elements down and you found the right niche and you're producing content that people are engaging with, then it's really about creating that marketing funnel, the back end of your system that works well with the front end of your system. And so like when I'm working again with people, it's like, is everything consistent? Is the look consistent? Is the call to action, does the call to action work? Is the funnel on the back side of things, is it set up in a way that's optimal for people, that's very clear as to what it is that you're selling, so we can produce the best results possible into your system? But I mean, it's really not more complicated than that. It's a really like simple strategy to go from YouTube to customer, because it's just creating valuable content, creating value that people engage with, and then bringing them into your system to get more value. So it's like, if you just keep creating value all along the way and people never feel like you're really selling them anything, then you can win at this game all day long. And I know people who are making millions of dollars a year just by creating content, bringing people into their system and selling them their services or products. But I mean, it's not super complicated.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. And I think we try and overcomplicate things, especially when we have, these audacious goals that we've never hit before. It's like, it must be hard to get to there, but like you're saying, it can actually be quite simple. It's just about, doing the actual steps in the right order and being patient and consistent and getting it done. So yeah, that's really cool. Scott, what would be some of we've probably covered some of them already, but what are some of the biggest challenges or the biggest mistakes that you see people making out there when actually putting this process in place?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. You hit the nail on the head though with the patience thing, right? That's the most complicated part of everything. Is like, it's the human nature to want something tomorrow, to want the results tomorrow. And if you can get past that and just get to work, then you will see results eventually. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but you will see results eventually. Other than that, things that are complicated or some of the challenges that I see, thumbnails are just a huge challenge. Most people think that if they spend all of their time and all of their money and all their effort on quality of video, then people will watch it or want to watch it. But again, if you don't have that same quality in your thumbnail, then people aren't going to be enticed to click. So one thing that I see people doing a lot is they spend so much money on production, so much more money on production than they need to in order to get the positive results that they want. So they burn out because it costs a lot of money. And you don't need to spend money on production. You could record you could do your entire YouTube channel with your iPhone, as long as you've got good titles, good valuable content, and you've got good thumbnails, because that's what people click on. People are clicking on the thumbnails. Once they start watching your video, if you could deliver the value, then they'll keep coming back for more and more and more. So I'd argue that thumbnails are almost more important than the quality of your content. One thing that I also see a lot of is there's this argument of quality versus quantity, right? How should I focus on higher quality content, or should I focus on doing more? And those things don't necessarily go together, right? Because quality is one aspect, that's the aesthetic, whereas quantity is volume. And I don't think that volume is as important as value. So if you are creating value, if you want to create 100 videos a month, then you need to make sure that every single one of those videos is extremely valuable. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting your time. So I always tell people, never create content so much that you sacrifice the value. Just make sure that your content delivers on value, and your channel is going to grow, and you're going to be successful. Other than that, it's just getting over, I see a lot of people who have a kind of a fear of the camera. The way that you get over that is just by doing it. You just have to start. And even if it's at home, you have to commit to flipping on that camera and just putting out content, and then releasing it, and just get past that initial fear. Other than that, again, like it's such a simple thing. You just have to do it. There's not a lot of challenges that come along with it if you're doing these simple things.
Yeah, amazing. Perfect. I love that. And it's so true. And it's the first few times that you watch yourself back, you're like, nah, that's not really me, is it? But eventually it changes, and eventually you learn how to get a little bit better. And especially once you start to see some results, then the confidence grows as well, I find. So yeah, that's really cool. And by the way, like for anyone wondering, I've only ever been using my iPhone to record videos, or a webcam, like a good quality webcam, ever since even in my previous business. And we created some really great videos of like creating juices and stuff like that. So it was in the health niche. It was all done by a webcam. So you can absolutely do really good quality stuff with the tools that we've already got available to at least getting started as well. So
Exactly.
Scott, we're about to wrap up in a moment. Do you have any final words to get people, set off in the right path?
Yeah, one thing I just thought of is authenticity. There's so many people, so many different personalities that on YouTube or on social media in general, that sometimes you feel like you have to be something that you're not in order to attract an audience or a community. And the thing is, like, people, again, they come to social media to have a human experience with other humans. They want to know you, the genuine you. And so if you're an introverted personality, let yourself, talk about being an introvert. People will relate to that. If you're a talkative personality, talk about how annoying and talkative you can be sometimes. People will relate to that. And it's like, you want people to know you, or to be able to relate to you, the authentic you. And that's how you're going to build your community. They can sniff out a fake or a phony very, very easily, because we've seen so many videos on social media now. It's just so easy to find people who aren't being genuine to themselves. And the more authentic you can be, the more valuable you'll be.
Yeah, I love that tip. And it's actually something that I've seen pop up so many times lately, where people talk about, people aren't attracted to your YouTube channel as such for the content. They're attracted to your energy and the energy that you're putting off. And I think now more than ever in history, before, like, people can absolutely tell if you're incongruent to what you're saying. And I've seen it happen with clients that I've worked with in the past, where there's been something happening in the background that I knew about when we're trying to create like an ad or like a landing page video. And as soon as people hit that page, like, they just get a bad feeling and leave. So yeah, I mean, it's so true. And I guess maybe touching on that, how important would it be to be in a good mood when creating content? You probably don't want to be coming in and creating after like a fight with your partner or something like that, right?
Yeah. So there's always like an element of showmanship that you have to put on, right? It's not like, it's not like you can come on and just be, hey, my name is Scott and I'm really excited to see you guys, and just be like completely monotone. So you have to have some energy. But I think my point is, like, you don't want to be so over the top that it'd be uncharacteristic, right? You want to turn on your most excited self that's genuine to you. And like you said, if you're having a bad day and you're coming in with all this negativity and it's just like blah, 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 unless you specifically talk about that and that becomes part of that piece of content, right? You guys, I'm having a really bad day. It was just miserable. I got in a fight with my wife or my husband or whatever, and it's just been terrible. Then don't film that day. Unless if you want to talk about it, then that's great. That'll build a community because people can empathize with that pain that you're feeling. And but if you don't want to talk about it and you're just coming on trying to put on a happy, trying to be energetic, but in reality it's forced, then people will be able to feel that for sure. They'll be able to feel that you're off. So yeah, so being authentic and putting on, you know, your game face, your Showtime face is important. But if you need to take a break and not film, then you know, it's like the worst thing that you can do is be a fake and phony and then burn yourself out because you're just not like feeling it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. I love that. Scott, I just want to thank you for your time and sharing some really valuable information for everybody here today. I guess my biggest takeaway from this is it's all about just doing the things that are being proven to work, right? There's nothing fancy, there's nothing secretive that we need to know about. It's just out there and doing it and being consistent and really focusing on those things that we want to be putting out into the world and creating value. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who want to continue the conversation with you and see what you're up to and see, maybe check out some of your channel and all of the work that you're doing. So where can people go to do that?
Yeah, so people can follow us. They can find me on all social media. It's usually under, you can just search Scott Simson and they'll find me. On Facebook, we've got a group on Facebook called the Master Thumbnails Group, where we actually teach people how to do thumbnails correctly, and people drop their thumbnails in and we critique them and stuff like that. And then they can, you know, visit us at Video Marketing World. They go to videomarketing.world/free, and we've got actually a free thumbnail booklet that teaches you all the psychology of thumbnails, so they can check that out as well.
Amazing. Perfect. And we'll link that up down below. So yeah, Scott Simpson, thanks so much for joining us here on Digital Nomad Sessions. For everybody at home, if you are interested in continuing to grow your YouTube channel or getting started, like this is the perfect place to start. So start putting some ideas down and take action on them now. So Scott, thanks again, and hopefully we'll chat again soon.
Okay. Thanks, Mitch. Take care.